State your name.
Nate Savage.
What do you do?
Guitar lessons for online peeps.
How many planes are currently flying in the air right now?
72,390.
I don't buy it. Did you just kind of pull that out of your butt?
Well, I was gonna say 7,000, but that was low, so I just tagged a 0 on it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. All right, I think especially if you're considering like non-commercial. Okay, yeah.
That didn't even cross my mind. I was just thinking the plane crashes and things like that from the recent news stories.
Oh wow!
I was like, 2. There's got to be more than 2.
And they're not in the air anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor guys. Either way, so yes, this is Nate Savage, course instructor over at Guitareo. For those of you who have been on the channel for a while, you're quite familiar with this brand and this company. So why don't you give us a brief rundown for those who aren't familiar of what Guitareo is?
Guitareo started out as guitarlessons.com, and then we did a couple of products like the guitar system, beginner guitar system, and Guitareo is like the latest big branding umbrella iteration of it, which is a membership site, and kind of that's all fed by solving people's problems on guitarlessons.com for free, and then the Guitareo YouTube channel for free. So
nice. Question, and we can cut this part out if you want. Am I allowed to ask any questions about the future of guitar lessons?
No, yeah. If I know them, then I'll I certainly will answer. But this, as you probably know, this industry is so dynamic and so quickly changing that like my plans this week could not be those plans next week.
Oh, I totally got you there.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to let any cat out of the bag or anything, because I know
Randy
was talking to me about
they're not really cats any bags as far as I know. So
okay, well we might dive into that a little later.
Okay,
but all right. So what makes Guitareo unique from other platforms?
Right now the biggest thing that makes it unique to me is the community of people. It's very specific. It's older people, like 45 to even up to 85, but definitely older.
Really?
They're either first-time players, or they are people who've used to play, or they're people who have always been trying to play, but they're like, man, I'm just not getting anywhere. And they either want to try again, they want to try for the first time, or now that they have time and money because their kids are gone, then they're like, I'm doing this, man. I'm going to do it. And the people there are looking for support, and they're looking to give support. So the forum's really active in that regard. And
oh, nice.
It's like from my perspective, as far as how we make the content, it's more about teaching people to fish instead of giving them a fish. So teaching kind of like not stylistically agnostic, but more focusing on like, okay, if you can understand music, it doesn't matter. You can go learn whatever you want. Because that was kind of my goal when I went to music school. It's like, I'm not going to be a professional musician. I just want to be able to play on the weekends and learn whatever it is that I want. Whatever I'm currently into.
Yeah, so, totally. So do you cringe when you watch my Guitareo ads?
No, I was really shocked because I had initially I had nothing to do with it. Somebody, I think Randy was like, hey, we got Become the Night doing guitar. So I was like, what? Really? That's awesome. No, because it's like beginner to intermediate. I was like, that's cool that he wants to do that, because I know he's not beginner intermediate.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool that you're spreading the word about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I got to take a look at it because you guys gave me access to it, and it's really solid, man. It's really solid. You definitely know your stuff, brother. So speaking of which, how long have you been playing for?
I am 26 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That explains why you know your stuff.
It doesn't. I barely feel like I'm 26 years old. So.
Right. Like I'm about to turn 30 this year, and it's a little,
What is this coming at me? Holy crap!
Right. I'm actually starting to thin a little bit on top. It's getting really, really weird, man.
Yeah.
Oh god. You get used to it. Hopefully. Shit, I hope so. What was it good? Oh yeah. Do you have any advice for anyone, like any musicians that are starting out? And that could be like playing advice, that could be career advice.
And John Petrucci said this. I know you're a John Petrucci fan, but always have a musical goal with whatever you're practicing, man. Like I've wasted so many years and so much time just drilling technique and new chops things that if I would have just been like, I'm gonna learn the song and let the chops follow, or if I'm gonna write a tune and let the chops follow, that I would be a much better guitar player, a much better musician now than I am.
That actually
100%.
that's actually amazing advice. That really is. I think, as a matter of fact, that's interesting you say that because, doing this YouTube channel, I actually did lose a significant amount of practice time.
Mhm.
And I was giving myself reasons to practice more. And one of those, I think, was posting to Instagram, believe it or not.
Yeah, I just started doing that like 2 months ago, and like to get a good solid performance thing every week, you have to really stay on top of stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm not doing, I mean, some of that's easier than others just because, I mean, you don't want everything to be like, watch me shred,
yeah.
But at the same point, like, I'm not just gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, look at me! I can play the Stairway to Heaven solo." It's like great, like I'm trying to dig deep and actually do something that pushes me, So I think that really was a huge part, and I need to get back into that, man. I fell off that train just because I've been so busy. Either way, this isn't about me. So that was actually awesome advice you had there, man. So what do you do outside of playing guitar or working for Guitareo? What's your hobbies?
Not much, man. It's really consuming because you know how YouTube channels are. You know
Yeah.
how doing Instagram stuff is, and then you have the whole members area creating content for that. So I work a lot, but
Yes.
it's what really keeps you going is like 30% of that is playing guitar, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's enough to balance out to where I'm like, I really enjoy doing it. Even if what I'm doing is something I normally wouldn't be doing. Like last week I did like top 5 Motley Crue videos or
Oh,
riffs
really?
that's coming out. Yeah, and I've
Oh.
never played Motley Crue before, but like because I've taught myself to fish over the years, learning how music works. Jumped into it, learned it real quick, did a video on it, good to go. And then I'm gonna get like 5 Instagram videos from that. So that's awesome. But
Rock and
other than
roll.
that, like I like to exercise a lot. I think part of that comes from like I need to have stress relief and time away from work, and then I play with my wife a lot. She is a
Oh, you
musician.
mean music?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean that however you want to take it, but yes, music as well. So like yeah, we have a gig coming up on the 30th, like local, and we had rehearsal last night. We had to drive into Vancouver for it. So that was last night, just
Badass.
rehearsing. Yeah.
Yeah, Randy was telling me you actually played on her album that was really.
Yeah, that was really interesting because like I've played on people's albums before, but I've never had like a really big connection to it. But I ended up like I guess executive producing it, and
Oh,
I ended up writing a lot of the acoustic like the main guitar parts for all the tunes. And that's the first time I've ever written anything aside from like instrumental music. So it was quite an interesting experience. Huh.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So like, who are your guitar heroes?
What's that?
Who are your guitar heroes?
Oh man, it's gonna line up with you a bit, anyways. John Petrucci's one of them. I really love Monty Montgomery, acoustic
Who?
guitar player. Monty
Oh,
Montgomery.
oh, I haven't heard that name in years.
Yeah, I
Man.
really like him. He's like big influence. People like Greg Howe,
Oh yeah.
Brett Garsed, Paul Gilbert, his acoustic guitar player named Beppe Gambetta, Phil Kagi. A lot of instrumental guitar stuff. So
But question about Greg Howe. Do you know how to
yeah,
play Jumpstart?
I've never learned one Greg Howe song ever.
Oh, really? Oh,
Never.
dude. I mean, if you really want to test your chops, I highly recommend trying that one.
He
I,
he play, he plays like way differently than I do because he got fed up with picking or whatever it was. So he moved into like the hybrid picking and the hammer-ons from nowhere kind of stuff. So if I get into that, that's something that I'm definitely gonna have to like go into a whole new direction with playing. But
Oh, it's beastly, man. And, like even just that first like doodle 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 doodle, like that thing is such a holy cow. Because you
he's
got these.
crazy, man. Like
Oh,
he's
go ahead, sir.
consistently like one of my favorite guitar players. So sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. Freaking name. But yeah, no, those are definitely good picks. So like you're into the prog. You can get down with the prog.
I like listening to. I would say I'm inspired by it. I'm not necessarily influenced by it. If that
Really?
makes
Oh,
as far as my write, I don't. I like very diatonic music as far as when I write stuff,
okay.
like very consonant stuff. But I love listening to like very progressive stuff, very intense stuff, even like as far as metal goes and things like that. So
That's very interesting because actually, my buddy from Jesse from Lines in the Sky, he's in a prog band, but he loves consuming and he admits it, like just the trashiest pop music. He loves listening to it.
Like my wife's big pop, and I'm like, eh,
yeah,
it's good exposure for me. But other than that, nah.
I think it's good to keep things fresh, regardless of how you do it. I think it is good to keep things fresh. So how much do you wish that Canada was not obnoxiously cold?
It's not too bad in just outside of Vancouver. It's really not like anywhere else. Vancouver is like the least of the cold places in Canada, which I really lucked out because I was expecting Great White North, nasty, cold all the time. But moving from Texas up here, Texas has 9 months of winter. 9 months of summer, a couple weeks of winter, and then maybe some kind of springish stuff thrown in. Up here, you get actual 4 seasons, which is really cool. But like where my wife's from, Halifax, yeah, forget that stuff. Or like Calgary, forget that stuff in the winter. It's ridiculous. I can't do that.
No way. Friggin' Samurai Guitarist has told me so many stories about Winnipeg. He's in frickin' Winnipeg. That must be awful.
I've never been there, but I've heard stories, man. So
I remember, oh gosh, I was sitting at the bar texting him. He was just getting back from California. And he was what was he? Oh yeah, he was just getting off the plane. He was about to leave the airport, arriving back at Winnipeg. And I was talking to him about how cold it is and everything. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm about to walk outside and have to face that. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to have to get into my car and think about this wet road that's out here and consider wearing a sweater tomorrow. He's just like, what the fuck am I doing with myself?
Well, what am I doing? He has opportunities, man. He can do whatever he wants. That's a good thing about that.
I know he's talking about relocating. I don't want to talk about anything that he like without getting his permission, but I know he's talking about relocating potentially.
Well, if it makes sense for him, as hot as he is right now, you know.
Oh, for sure. And like he has all the opportunities in front of him. He's a badass. Love that man.
He's great. And
anyway, so anything you want to plug before we
well, we just we're starting to do like semester type courses in the Guitareo members area for people that like, I don't want this whole huge library of stuff. I don't know what to pick from. So I just want you to tell me what to do every week, and then I'm going to go do it. So we started these 26-week courses where you get 1 lesson per week. That's it. And the latest one is called Acoustic Guitar Made Easy, and we're about halfway through the first semester right now. But we only offer like twice a year because
I remember that campaign.
I do like video feedback, like, you know, the Paul Gilbert thing where he does that stuff. And then there are comments, and like you basically have me either by email, video, or whatever you want. Even a call like this, people sometimes schedule. So we can only do so many. So 6 months of that, and then we'll open it again in probably another 3 months or something like that. But it's like Jared, the owner of Musora, the parent company, said, go make the best way to learn acoustic guitar online. It's like, that's your job, your commission. So I went and did my best, and I think it came out pretty good. Because one of the reasons for that is because we're finally got licensing to teach cover songs.
Yeah.
So we can teach people like the actual tunes that they want to learn, instead of being like, here's a play along in the style of ...
Yeah, and it's not
so
the same
that and made a big difference, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, what's it like to have to license stuff like that for a lesson website? Because that's like a whole bag I have no clue about.
It's, you know, I didn't have anything to do with it, thank God. We tried to look into it a couple of times with one of the other previous owners, Rick Kettner, and then I looked into it a little bit, and it was just a nightmare. But Jared has an assistant, Liz, thank you very much, who took care of the entire thing. It took a few months, and it was kind of costly, but it ended up working out really good because, I mean, that's what people want to do. Like we were talking about earlier, people want to play music in their songs. Who cares if you can play a Mixolydian scale of 200 beats per minute? You can't play a song, nobody wants to hear that, right? So
very true. Any
even though
party? Oh, what's that?
Even though I aspire to do that, you know, the 200
of course. I will probably never be able to do that, but it's fine. Any parting words before we roll out here?
if you don't have a list of songs that you want to learn, and it can be as few as 3, but it can be as many as 100. Make a list of songs you want to learn and kind of categorize them by difficulty, and say, okay, I'm gonna start chipping away at these, because you're gonna learn about strumming, you're gonna learn about chord changes, you're gonna end up learning different chord shapes, you're gonna learn chord structure and progressions, how just music is made by chipping away at that. And when you have a song you want to learn, it will fill up your practice time, and you'll get better faster. And you'll be, when somebody says, hey, can you play this? You'll be like, yep, I sure can. Instead of like, So that's a lesson that took me a long time to learn, and I still learn it all the time. So
I love that advice. I absolutely love that advice. All right, man. It's been Nate Savage here with Guitareo. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. That was this has been a really fun one. But
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Rock on.